I have been doing a commentary, talking my way through the book of Job, doing a Hebrew reading of the text, followed then by an English translation, and then a grammatical analysis along with commentary. So we've been working our way through. We've seen chapter 1 in previous videos, where Job, after being introduced, we have a heavenly and earthly scene. And we have in the heavenly scene of chapter 1, we have Satan coming and talking about Job and his piety. And the Lord then allows Satan to afflict Job but not touch him. This is followed then by the earthly scene that follows. And we looked at all of that on our previous videos. Now we are in chapter 2. As we go to chapter 2, we are looking at the second heavenly scene. A second time, the angels present themselves before God's throne in heaven, and Satan is with them. The Lord again mentions the integrity of his servant Job, even after his affliction at Satan's hand. Satan then challenges God with the fact that Job personally had been protected, and that if his flesh was afflicted, he would then curse God. The Lord then permits Satan to afflict Job personally, but he does not allow him to take his life. So as we begin in verse 1, I'm going to read the Hebrew, and then we'll talk about the grammar and then a commentary with it. Vayehi hayom vayavo'u b'nei ha'elohim lehityatsev al Adonai. Vayavo gam hasatan b'tocham lehityatsev al Adonai. Notice, it came to pass upon the day, or the day, we could translate this upon a day, that the sons of God, that is the angels, came to present themselves, lehityatsev, to stand in a presentation, so to speak, before the Lord. And they also, Satan came in their midst to present himself before the Lord. Notice just a word about the grammar here. Vayahi, cow imperfect, third masculine singular from the root haya. And there came the day that the sons of God came. Vayavohu, cow imperfect, third person plural, masculine plural, from bo, lehityatsev. Lehityatsev is a hitpael infinitive from yatsav. So they came to present themselves. And notice, before the Lord, vayavo gam hasatan b'tocham, and Satan came to present himself, lehityatsev. And here we have another hitpael, two hitpaels, infinitive construct here, constructs both of them, with yatsav al Adonai. So the Satan came to present himself as well. And just a note of comment on that. Notice, at a set day, the angels came before God to report their activities. Again, Satan was in their midst. God again addresses Satan about his activities and points again to the steadfastness of his servant Job. And then, as we move on in verse 2, notice it says, Vayomer Adonai el hasatan, e mizet tavo, vaya'an hasatan et Adonai, vayomar mishut ba'aretz, umehit halek ba. That is, and the Lord said unto the Satan, from where have you come? And the Satan answered the Lord and said, from going back and forth, to and fro on the earth, and from walking around, walking, you could say, up and down on it or around. Notice here we have again, Vayomer, a cow imperfect, third masculine singular, from Amar unto the Satan. From where have you come? A cow imperfect in Tavo, second masculine singular from Bo. And the Satan answered, Vaya'an, from Anah, to answer, a cow imperfect, third masculine singular, the Lord, and said, Mishut, from going to and fro. By the way, shoot here, excuse me, is an infinitive construct from shoot, meaning to rove back and forth. So from going to and fro, or from going about, back and forth, roving back and forth on the earth, and from walking up and down on it. Notice umehit halek is from the root halak, and here we have another infinitive construct from halak, from walking back and forth on it. So after the Satan is presenting himself, we then have God speaking in verse 3. Vayomer Adonai el hasatan, hasamta libacha el abdi Iyov, ki ein kamohu ba'aretz ishtam, v'yara yarei Elohim v'sar mera, v'odenu mechazak, betumato, v'tasiteni vo levado chinam. That is, and the Lord said unto the Satan, have you placed it to your heart, or given serious thought, considered concerning my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a man perfect or whole and upright, one who fears God and who turns from evil, and he still holds fast in his integrity, although you actually stirred him up or incited him against me without a cause. Notice Vayomer, again, cow imperfect, third masculine singular from Amad. And the Lord said unto the Satan, have you placed your heart upon my servant Job? Notice seem here is the root to place. Ha is introducing a question, and it's a cow perfect, second masculine singular from seem. Have you placed your heart upon my servant Job, that there is none as him, like him in all the earth, a man, tam, which means wholehearted and upright, a righteous man, one who is fearing God and who turns from evil. Notice Sar is the cow perfect, third masculine singular from Suad, the one who turns from evil. And notice he yet holds firmly in his integrity. Mechazik is from chazak. Here we have to hold or grasp in a firm way. Here we have a hifil participle masculine singular. Notice the AI vowel pattern, thematic vowel pattern. The one who holds firmly onto his integrity, even though you did incite him against me, to literally swallow him up without a cause. Notice we have here vatasiteni is meaning, the root means to incite against. When we look at the root here, it means to instigate or to incite. And you, even though you incited him against me, caused him to be incited against me, to swallow him up. The bal'o is from bala, to swallow up. Notice we have a PL infinitive construct with the pronominal suffix, third masculine singular, in the O without a cause. So in this particular verse, then, literally, he still holds to his integrity. God reminded the Satan that Job, despite his circumstances, was yet holding fast to his integrity and faithfulness toward him. This then brings us on to verse 4. And we're going to see this trial continuing. Vaya'an ha-Satan et Adonai, vayomer or ba'ad or, v'chol asher le'ish yitain ba'ad nafsho. And the Satan answered the Lord and said, skin in the place of skin, and all, indeed, all which belongs to a man, he will give for his life. Notice here, Vaya'an is from Anah, a Lamed Hey root, Kal imperfect, third masculine singular from Anah. So the Satan answered the Lord and said, yet skin, or said, skin for skin, or the whole, in other words, skin for skin, or ba'ad or, skin in the place of skin, v'chol asher, all which belongs to a man, yitain, he will give ba'ad nafsho, he will give for his soul. Notice yitain is the cow imperfect, third masculine singular from Natan, the pay noon verb here, where the noon by progressive assimilation has assimilated into the tav. So what is Satan saying? Or ba'ad or, however, is somewhat of a difficult phrase. Satan, however, replied to God in a proverb in a further effort to undermine Job's integrity. The phrase skin for skin is a difficult phrase that has been variously interpreted by commentators. The most natural expression, it seems to me, to be that it is viewing the fact that a man may sacrifice someone else's skin to save his own. Thus, Job could sacrifice the skin of others, like in chapter 1, to save his own skin. Touch him personally, though, Satan is saying, and he will no longer hold his integrity. Then we continue on in the next verse, verse 5. Ulam shelachna yadacha vega el atzmo ve'el besaro im lo el panecha yevarachecha. That is, but put forth or send forth now your hand and touch him or smite him, touch him or touch his bone and his flesh. Surely then he will blaspheme to your face. Surely then will he not blaspheme unto your face. Notice shalach here, that is, but send forth. Shalach is the cow imperfect masculine singular from shalach. Send forth now your hand and touch him. Here's a pay noon verb, naga. It's the imperative, cow imperative masculine singular from naga. The noon has elided. So touch his bone and his flesh. And surely will he not blaspheme unto your face. Yevarachecha is from barak, to blaspheme. Notice we are looking at a PL imperfect, third masculine singular from barak, with the pronominal suffix cha, second masculine singular. So all you need to do is touch him personally, and will he not surely blaspheme your face? So as we look at this particular verse, again, Satan is saying you can touch other things, or other things can be touched, but when you touch him, he'll then blaspheme you to your face. Vayomer Adonai el hasatan, hino biyadecha ak et nafsho shamor. And the Lord said unto the Satan, behold, he is in your hand. Only his flesh or his life keep. In other words, you can touch him, but don't touch his life. Again, Vayomer, cow imperfect, third masculine singular from Amar. And the Lord said unto the Satan, behold, he's in your hand, only his flesh, shamor, keep. Shamor is the cow imperative, second masculine singular from shamar. In other words, save his life. So basically, what we're looking at here is the Lord permits him to touch him, but not his life. The Lord answers the charge of Satan by permitting him again, like we said, to afflict Job personally, but with the understanding that he spare his life. So now we move to the second earthly scene in the next verse, beginning at verse 7. And the scene, as we've seen before, shifts back to earth in 7 to 10, where Satan afflicts Job with boils. While Job is scraping himself and sitting among the ashes, his wife encourages Job to curse God and die. Job then rebukes his wife and again holds firm to his integrity and worship of God. This is in verses 7 to 10. So as we read that in Hebrew and translate it, Vayetze ha-Satan me'et penei Adonai, vayak et Iyov, bishchin ra, mekaf raglo ad kod kodo. Notice here, and the Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord and smote Job with boils, with very bad boils, we could say, ra, evil, sore or bad boils, from the sole of his foot unto his crown, or that is the crown of his head. Notice Vayetze is from Yatzah, It's a cow imperfect, third masculine singular. Historically, it was a pay vav verb where the vav has elided. So the Satan went forth from before the Lord and smote. Vayak is from nakah, to smite. Cow imperfect, Hiphil imperfect, third masculine singular from nakah. He caused to smite Job with boils, sore boils, from the sole of his foot unto his crown, that is the crown of his head. Notice in verse 7, we're wondering what is going on here. What is this? Well, Satan went forth from God's presence and smote Job, as we've seen, with sore boils throughout his whole body. He was covered from head to foot with these boils. Many believe that the disease to be elephantiasis, a form of leprosy. With this disease, the limbs swell and the skin blackens, giving one the appearance of an elephant. The characteristics of the disease are found in, as we're seeing it here, described throughout what we're seeing, Job scraping himself and so forth. For example, Raleigh observes the symptoms sanctioned are inflamed eruptions, chapter 2, verse 7, intolerable itching in 2:8, disfigured appearance in 2:12, maggots in the ulcers, 7:5, terrifying dreams, chapter 7:14, running tears, blinding the eyes, chapter 16:16, fetid breath, 19:17, emaciated body, 19:20, erosion of the bones in 30:17, blackening and peeling off of the skin in 30:30. This is from Raleigh, pages 38 and 39. So I can't imagine the awfulness of what Job is now experiencing in this elephantiasis. So then as we move on in verse 8, Vayikach lo cheres lehit garad bo v'hu yoshev b'tok ha'efer. That is, and he took for himself a potsherd to scrape himself with it, and he was sitting in the midst of the ashes. Notice he took, vayikach is from lakah, to take. It's a first lamed form from lakach, and we have the lamed has gone into the kof by progressive assimilation. Cow imperfect, as we said, third masculine singular from lakach. So he took a potsherd, a cheres, and he's going to scrape himself with this potsherd, a broken piece of pottery, we could say, that he is going to scrape himself with. This is like a sherd or a fragment of earthenware. And hit the next word. Notice he's going to scrape himself. Lehit garad. This is from the root garad, which means to scrape or to scratch oneself. Here we have a hit pael infinitive construct from garad. So he's going to scrape himself with it, and he then was sitting in the midst of the ashes. Yoshev is a cow participle masculine singular from Yasha. Vatomet, let me just say a word again about this. Due to the terrible itching in verse 8 of the boils, Job took a piece of pottery and began to scrape himself and to sit among the ashes. The ashes probably refer to the dung heap outside the city walls. It was where the rubbish of the town was cast and was frequented during the times of national and individual calamity. We see this in Isaiah, for example, 47:1, Jeremiah 6:26, Ezekiel 37:30, and Micah 1:10. So, following this horrible situation, then notice what happens in verse 9. Vatomer lo ishto odecha machazik betumatecha barek Elohim v'mut. Now, notice what his wife says. And then his wife said to him, do you still or yet, are you yet holding on to your integrity? Blaspheme God and die is what it reads. Notice Vatomer is the cow imperfect, third feminine singular from Amar. So his wife said to him, are you still holding fast? Machazik. Here we have the verb chazak, to hold fast. We have a hifil participle masculine singular from chazak. Are you yet holding fast onto your integrity? Tumatecha, from tuma. Barek, that is, blaspheme God and die. Notice barek is your PL imperative masculine singular from barak. So blaspheme God. This word can mean to bless, but it has its opposite meaning here, meaning to blaspheme. So blaspheme God and die. Mut is from the verb mut to die. Here it is an imperative, a cow imperative masculine singular. It's interesting. We don't know the name of his wife. The Targum, which is interesting, supplies the name of Dinah. Targum is the Aramaic translation of the book of Job. But we don't know what her name was, but they supplied that in the Targum. This is found, by the way, on page 7 of the Sonsino commentary of the Bible and on the commentary on Job. So as we think about this particular passage, notice he's now seeing the steadfast piety, the text is saying. In the midst of such tragic circumstances, Job's wife tells him to curse God and die. The meaning of her words seem to be this: curse God and die immediately as a result of cursing God, and so save yourself from further pain. That seems to be probably what the text is implying and what is happening here. Then as we move on, we see Job's reply in verse 10. Vayomer eleha kedaber achat hanevalot tedaberu gam et hatov nekabel me'et ha'elohim va'et hara lo nekabel bechol zot lo chata iyo bisfatav. What a summary that the writer of Job is making. But notice he said unto her, as you are as one speaking, as an impious, you are speaking as an impious, as impious women speak, uh, shall indeed, what? I think we could say what or indeed, uh, that which is good shall we receive from God, and that which is evil shall we not receive? For in all this, Job did not sin with his lips. So the author of Job is concluding with a very positive note about Job's response. Again, notice Vayomer, cow imperfect, third masculine singular from Amar, and he said unto her, you are speaking as a woman, as an impious woman, as one of the impious women. Notice kedaber, as speaking, is a PL infinitive construct with ke. As speaking, one to speak, you are like one speaking that is of the impious women. Nevalod, you speak. Teva tedaberu. Notice tedaberu is from dabar. It is a PL imperfect, second feminine singular from davar. So you speak as one of the impious women. What? That which is good shall we receive. Nekabel. Notice nekabel is from kabel, to receive. It is in another PL, first common plural from kabel. Shall we receive that which is good? Emphatic here. That which is good shall we receive from God, and that which is evil, hara, shall we not receive? Another PL imperfect, first common plural from kabel. In all this, lo chata iyo, Job did not sin with his lips. Notice chata is the cow perfect, third masculine singular from chata. So in all this, Job did not sin with his lips. It is interesting, Job quickly rebukes his wife as lacking in her spiritual quality. Shall we receive only good? And that's emphatic in the Hebrew. And not evil from the Lord's hand, he asks. This statement shows the strong integrity and confidence of Job's faith in the Lord. The conclusion is that in all that befell him, Job did not sin with his lips. Satan's charge had proved a lie. Job did not blaspheme God under the most trying circumstances. This point should be noted. It was his so-called friends, and I put that in quotation marks, who later led Job into times of questioning the Lord and his actions. But before that, his piety in God was steadfast. Sometimes people can make things worse. And I think this is what is said here, because of their idea that you're suffering this, Job, because you must have sinned. And the writer of Job, the author, is contradicting that particular theological belief. So let me stop here, and we'll continue working through this. I hope it's helpful. Some who may want to get out their Hebrew Bibles and follow along as we try to read the text, translate it, and look at the grammar along with commentary.